Let's be honest, we've all been there, stuck in a brainstorming session, chasing the next big idea, only to find we're using old, broken methods. Well, forget that. Today, we are unpacking a simple, really powerful blueprint that's designed to make every single idea session you have a genuine breakthrough. You know that feeling, right? You walk into a room, you're full of energy, and then an hour later, you leave. You've got a whiteboard full of random scribbles, zero clear actions, and that nagging feeling that you should have just stayed at your desk. It is so frustrating, but you know what? It absolutely does not have to be this way. So, why do so many of these meetings just go completely off the rails? Well, it almost always comes down to a few hidden psychological traps. You've got groupthink, where the first idea that gets thrown out ends up anchoring the entire conversation. Then there's the simple fact that only one person can talk at a time. And maybe the biggest creativity killer of all, that fear of looking silly for sharing a new, half-baked idea. But what if you could turn all that chaos into a clear path forward? A framework that dodges those psychological traps and makes sure that every single voice gets heard. A structure that guarantees you leave not just with a bunch of ideas, but with an actual plan. Well, that system exists, and we're about to walk through it step by step. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into why most brainstorms just don't work. Then, we'll introduce the 3-step breakthrough blueprint. We'll cover how to prepare for success, the best ways to generate ideas, and then, that crucial last step, how to turn all those raw ideas into real action.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, Why Brainstorms Often Fail. See, to fix a problem, you really have to understand what you're up against. So let's break down the common roadblocks that stand between your team and its next great idea.
You know, what's really interesting here is how these roadblocks all feed each other. Because only one person can talk at a time, you're sitting there waiting for the loud talker to finish, and poof, your brilliant idea might just fade away. That fear of judgment keeps the truly weird, innovative ideas from ever being spoken. And groupthink makes sure that even if you do get to speak, you're probably just going to offer a slight tweak on what's already been said. It's a total creativity-crushing cycle. But we can absolutely break that cycle. And the answer isn't to just try harder. It's to use a better system. So welcome to the Breakthrough Blueprint. It's a simple 3-step framework. And this lays out the entire process perfectly. See, it's not just about the generate phase, which is what most of us think brainstorming is. The real magic happens in the steps before and after. Success starts with preparation, and it only becomes real through action. Skipping a step, that's where pretty much every team goes wrong. So let's jump into Section 3, and this is arguably the most important and most often skipped step of them all. Preparation. Getting this part right changes the entire game. You can't find the right answers if you're asking the wrong question. A vague goal like, how can we increase sales? That just leads to a big, unfocused mess. But a strong problem statement, like the one on the right, gives your team clear guardrails. It instantly tells you who you're solving for, what the exact problem is, and what success actually looks like. It focuses all that creative energy like a laser beam. And hey, who you invite to the party matters just as much as the problem you're trying to solve. You need cognitive diversity. Don't just invite the usual suspects. Bring in an engineer, a customer support rep who hears from users every single day, maybe even someone from a totally different department. A fresh pair of eyes can shatter the echo chamber and unlock some truly original thinking. And this right here, this is the bedrock of it all. None of the other steps work without psychological safety. You have to create an environment where people feel totally comfortable sharing those weird, half-baked, maybe this is silly ideas. If they're afraid of looking foolish, they'll just censor themselves, and your most innovative solutions will never, ever see the light of day. This part is non-negotiable. All right, on to Section 4. Now that we're all prepared, the stage is set, it's time to actually generate ideas. But we're not just going to wing it. We're going to use a couple of simple but really powerful rules. Okay, these are the 2 golden rules. Rule 1, defer all judgment. No criticism, no analysis, not yet. Rule 2, aim for quantity over quality. Think of it like a funnel. You want to pour in 100 raw, messy ideas at the top, not just 5 perfect ones. We can filter and refine them later. Right now, it's all about volume. So how do we get that massive quantity? Well, we ditch the traditional free-for-all. Instead of a chaotic verbal session where the loudest voices win, we use a structured technique, like brainwriting. It's a simple shift from speaking to writing, but it solves so many problems.
It gets around that one person at a time bottleneck and ensures that the brilliant ideas from your quieter, more introverted team members actually make it onto the page.
And the results? They're staggering. Just look at this number. With a technique called the 635 method, you can generate 108 ideas in just 30 minutes. Here's how it works. You have 6 people, they each write down 3 ideas, and they have 5 minutes to do it. Then you pass your sheet to the person next to you. They read your ideas, get inspired, and add 3 more of their own. After 6 rounds, you have this huge pool of diverse co-created ideas. It's collaborative, it's silent, and it's incredibly productive.
Now here's another powerful technique that flips the whole script. It's called starbursting. With this, your team focuses only on generating questions before you even think about a single answer. You just use these 6 core prompts, who, what, when, where, why, and how, to deeply explore a topic. This is perfect for the very beginning of a project when you need to understand the full scope of the challenge ahead.
Okay, now this is fascinating because it actually challenges one of those original golden rules. Research from UC Berkeley found that encouraging constructive debate, and that's the key, not destructive criticism, can lead to 20% more ideas. So why is that? Well, because healthy, respectful debate creates this thing called cognitive friction. It forces us to defend our assumptions and really build on each other's thinking. And that sparks completely new creative pathways. It's a powerful little twist on a classic rule.
Okay, the whiteboard is full, the energy is high. But now we arrive at section 5, from idea to action. This is the final, most critical step. And honestly, it's where most brainstorms go to die. So the first thing you have to do is bring some order to the chaos. You start grouping similar ideas together. As you start clustering them, themes are just going to naturally emerge. You might realize an idea about improving the login screen and another about simplifying checkout both fall under a bigger theme, like reducing user friction. This simple act of sorting turns a random collection of thoughts into clear strategic directions. And once you have your themes, this is how you prioritize. You use the impact/effort matrix. It's so simple. You just map each idea on this grid. Your quick wins in the top left, those are no-brainers. Do them right away. Major projects in the top right are your big strategic bets. Fill-ins are nice to have, but not urgent. And those time sinks in the bottom right, you avoid those like the plague. This forces a really honest conversation about what's actually achievable. At the end of the day, an idea without a plan is really just a wish. So for every single idea you decide to pursue, you have to assign these 3 things. A single owner, so there's accountability, a clear next action, so there's no confusion about what to do next, and a realistic deadline to make sure it actually happens. This is how you turn all that creative energy into real-world progress. And that's it. That is the blueprint. It really is that simple. Prepare by framing the right problem and building a safe, diverse team. Generate ideas using structured techniques so every voice is heard. And finally, act by ruthlessly prioritizing and creating an accountable action plan. Look, this isn't just theory. It's a practical toolkit. You now have the framework to finally move beyond those frustrating, dead-end meetings and start generating real actionable breakthroughs. So the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve first?